Good evening, this is Newsline. I am Michael Chugani. Environment Secretary Edward Yao is here to tell us why Hong Kong's air is still so dirty. Thank you, Secretary Yao, for being on Newsline. You've been here before to talk about air pollution. Well, let me just go right into that question. Why is Hong Kong's air still so dirty? Roadside pollution actually is getting worse.
Yes, well, we all know that, our air quality has a lot of room to improve. The situation is we are talking about pollutions coming from both local and sources across the boundary. I think there is no secret about it. But having said that, I think there should be no finger pointing, or there shouldn't be any sparing of
People
effort.
say if you point to China, you're actually blaming them for our air pollution.
It's pollutants, particular. If we are talking about particulates, the overall emission in the entire region compared with Hong Kong is 99 to 1. But having said that, there are also pollutants which are generated from Hong Kong. Look at our energy sector. Look at the way we produce our electricity.
The power companies.
Yes, they contribute 89% of our sulfur dioxide. There are also roadside pollutions coming from our own buses, goods vehicles, and to a lesser extent, our vehicles. So, in tackling the air pollution, we must take a multi-pronged approach. We should leave no stone unturned. And that's why government has taken the effort of coming up with a new set of air quality standard, which hopefully will guide Hong Kong's development.
Okay, well, we'll tackle some of the other issues about the power companies a little bit later on. But I just want to go back. Now, I was actually, when I was researching this, I read a policy speech by Tung Chee-hwa, our previous chief executive. That was back in 1999. And he was saying, then he was laying out some policy objectives for cleaning up our air, and he said he would promise to clean up our air within a few years, and he was going to phase out diesel vehicles. And then he said by 2005, I'm quoting him here, that our air will be as clean as New York and London. It is now 2009. I don't think, Secretary Yao, that anybody would say that our air is now comparable to New York or London.
Well, I think it's a big challenge. It's an open sort of I shouldn't say open secret, but it's a fact that our air quality need to be improved. The current air quality objective, which is the planning guidelines for Hong Kong, is very much dated. It was first promulgated back in '87. So it's over 20 years. We are keenly aware that we need to update and upgrade our air quality standards so as to meet the aspiration of the
actually,
the
Christine Low, whom everybody knows as a campaigner to clean up our air, she actually said just a few days ago that, as you said, our standards are now 1987 standards. It is 2009. We're still sticking to those standards. You want to change that? She says it's a license to pollute. That's the standard we have now. Tung Chee-hwa talked about cleaning up our air in 1999. Here we are in 2009, and we're still trying to get rid of standards that date back to 1987. Has the government been just too lax on this?
Well, I think look at the air quality objective review that we are proposing. It was proposed at a time immediately after World Health Organization promulgated its new set of air quality guidelines in October '96. We have taken on board immediately afterwards this particular review, and now coming up with a set of proposals. Now, the reason to take on WHO standard is for very straightforward, simple reason. We must have a set of guidelines or standards which seeks to protect public health. And by having WHO standard promulgated as a reference or a benchmark, I think it sends a very loud and clear signal to the local community that, we mean business.
Okay, you mean business, Mr. Yao. We will talk about the WHO standards again in a little bit. I just want to finish off with what Tung Chee-hwa said in 1999. The other thing he said was that, and I'm quoting here, that the government will consult the public shortly on idling engines. Again, that was 1999. This is 2009, 10 years later. We're still consulting. How then can you convince the public that you mean business? You just said you mean business.
Looking back the last couple of years, I think there are measures that we have taken to clean up our air. including $3.2 billion we set aside for goods vehicles replacement, because a lot of our commercial vehicles are simply very dated, some of which are still pre-Euro, Euro-dollar. Although the take-up rate is not as encouraging as we thought.
People say it's a failure.
But that's sort of actual money being rolled out. We have, in the last 2 years, you might have seen, we have tightened the air pollution caps for our 2 power plants. On the one hand, we sort of have a tighter control on their sort of a scheme of control. But in the meantime, we also tighten the emission capping. But more than that, what we are doing is we're also identifying new sources of cleaner fuel for our power plants. Look at the agreement we signed with mainland China over the new pipeline coming all the way from the mainland, which would provide us with LNG, natural gas.
Which is cleaner than fossil fuel.
Which is 15% at least cleaner than coal-fired generation. Now, but obviously there are more to be done. When we say the air quality standard need to promote public health, we must find a way to promulgate a set of highest possible standard, so that, well, when we go on developing our community, that is a standard we should benchmark against. There shouldn't be any sparing of effort in sort of striving to achieve that possible highest standard.
Well, okay.